All right, recording in progress. Welcome to those who are viewing the recording later on. Today we're going to talk about manifesting, and manifesting is such a fun topic. I shared a little bit before about like how it's such a buzz thing in the spiritual world, and then there are different schools of manifesting and different thoughts, and I think it's just something to have a little bit of fun with, and it's like I'm just going to mute everyone, so if you want to say something you're free, but just unmute whenever you do that. Yeah, it's something that we can play with and have a little bit of fun, and actually what makes us more magnetic to attract things is the frequency and the vibration of joy. So having fun and playing can be super magnetic in terms of like wanting to attract things. So before we dive into the slideshow, my name is Mikaela Soldan, and I am currently in Albany in the state of New York, and I'm a yoga teacher, I'm a spiritual coach. I love studying and I love teaching all these different topics, and I'm sure it's true for everyone, but especially to me, like if I ever want to learn something, it's good to teach it, and then that's why we need, like that's how we really register what we're teaching, so or what we want to learn and embody. So this is like such a good opportunity for me to kind of pin it down, because I believe there are a couple of steps into manifesting, some things that we want to take into consideration. So I'm going to share those. Is there someone who already has like a new moon intention that they're setting? It's something like an idea of what they want to manifest? Maybe show hands or... Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so we're going to do a little practice at the end where you're just going to get an opportunity to tune into like what it might be that you want to invite into your life and set an intention for. And new moons are very powerful time for manifesting overall. So today, as I'm doing the live recording or live session, we have the new moon in Scorpio, and each of the new moons, they are slightly different. So there are different themes highlighted. And if you want to go really deep into astrology, you might check which house Scorpio or the new moon, particular new moon sits on in your chart, in your natal chart. So that gives like the houses, they have different areas of life that they govern. So sometimes if we want to get very specific, we look at the house and we look at like, oh, is it like a home and family, or is it career and finances, or is it spirituality, whatever it is. But there are lots of resources for that kind of stuff elsewhere. But so traditionally today is a good day to set intentions and new moon manifestations. I'm going to share my screen for my little slideshow. Let's see if I can share the full, or do like a full screen. All right. So how to manifest. So what's on the agenda again? Like what is manifesting? And then what I like to actually talk about is co-creation, the art of co-creation, instead of manifesting, but that's a little nuance. And then we're going to look at the process of manifestation that you can kind of apply and start using in your own life, like every single new moon maybe, or if it's just another time in your life when you are manifesting something, you can use this little formula. And then, like I said, we're going to end with the practice. So let's see. So what is manifesting? I believe, and like spiritually speaking, we exist in this large field of infinite possibilities. So it's almost like there is this whole ocean of ideas and possibilities that we can almost like draw, like download and bring into physical form. And we are the physical manifestation of the divine. So there is this force of creation that is moving through us, and And even though we do have our kind of separate nature as physical beings and human beings, we also have this connection to the creative force. And I like to think of it, instead of like seeing ourselves as separate from that divine force, I like to begin to collaborate with that and start seeing myself as almost like an instrument for that divine force and creation to get things happen, get things manifest here on the physical plane. So in the beginning, like before Big Bang, this intelligence, this force of intelligence, something there kind of catalyzed this whole situation of the Big Bang happening and the world coming into manifestation, so coming into physical form. And I believe that we are all kind of still like a continuum of that. So there is some sort of, whatever the reason may be that we exist in this physical form, there is some sort of force kind of guiding that process. And whatever that intelligence almost like wants to manifest in the world, that's going to have to happen through us. We are the hands and the feet and the eyes and the ears of that intelligence. And so we can, manifesting is almost like we're drawing those ideas and those possibilities from that field of infinite possibilities, and we're just bringing that into physical form. So it's quite fascinating to think of it from that perspective. And in the kind of spirit realms where things are not material, things can manifest instantly. So when we leave our bodies and when our consciousness goes back into the ocean, we like, that's the realm where you can have a thought and that manifests instantly. But then when we are in the physical form, that's where everything takes a little longer time to manifest, because when we have physical form, things are a little slower. So there is this density of our beingness, and that's why we can have a thought of like, I would like to have something, but it doesn't happen instantaneously, but we have to kind of wait, and we have to do a little bit of action, and we have to take the physical steps in the direction of what we desire. So this is my idea and kind of definition of manifesting. So connecting to the infinite possibility realm and playing with that, and then doing the steps of bringing that something like an immaterial form or idea into a physical manifestation. How does that sound? Everyone's on board. Yeah. Okay. So I love this quote: when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. So that is like an example of the power of intention. Probably many of you have written or have read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So the power of our intention cannot be undermined. And I think that is obviously the first step of manifesting anything. And then we start, when we decide on something and when we have this very clear intention, there are these forces that begin to help us in the way. And I believe personally that the more courage there is involved, the more these support elements and these helpers and these different forces begin to conspire to help us in achieving what we want. And so I think that there are two different ways of manifesting. So there is that kind of like 3D world or material world way of manifesting, where we use force and we use willpower to create our desired reality. So we might be focused on, wanting a certain amount of money, or wanting a certain career, or a certain person in our lives. We really become almost like obsessed of getting that, and we have this very clear target, and we're just doing whatever it takes to get there. And that often creates a lot of dissonance between ourselves and universal forces. It can create dissonance between ourselves and other people. So we are just kind of powering through to get whatever we would like to have. And what I like to do more or better is that we align ourselves with the universal forces to and universal will to begin to co-create. So instead of just forcing whatever we want in life, we begin to collaborate with the universal forces, and then we start kind of we put the intention, and then we receive whatever next steps are, and then we move forward again, and then it's a dance. It's almost like a dance and collaboration with the universe. So that's the way of manifesting I'm gonna talk about today. And this is, I have like a little bit of a formula or like a little process of that co-creation. So how do we align ourselves with the universe? And the first step is what I already talked about a little bit, is the remembrance of our true nature as a divine being. So when we think that we are only human, this material stuff is all there is, that usually leads us into manifesting things through that willpower and force. But then when we have, maybe it's a spiritual awakening, or maybe it's some sort of just curiosity towards these spiritual or esoteric topics, we begin to it feels like a remembrance, even though we might learn it from a teacher or something. But what it feels like in the body is almost like a sense of remembrance of where we come from, that we are divine. We are not just existing in the universe, but we are, each one of us is an intrinsic part of the universe and is a divine being as we are. And we have this creator force within us. And of course, the creator force, because it is in the confines of the physical body, it is under the laws of the physical and the material world. So things take time, and there is cause and effect, and all these different physical or laws that are here in the physical world. But there is also the creator part in us that can, within the confines of the human form, begin to create the kind of life that it desires. And I like this idea of three different levels or states of consciousness. And most of humanity, how most of us are born, is we're born to this very fear-based way of living. And it's like, it's coiled in our DNA. We are just very, very, like, the fear in our DNA that governs our behavior. And that causes this kind of like survival way of living. So that's the survival consciousness, where we are just going to work to make enough money to provide for our families and ourselves. And it's that survival game. And usually when a spiritual awakening occurs, we snap out of that survival consciousness, and we start questioning, like, what am I doing? What is this life really for? Am I really meant to just be like a machine, in this world, just doing these things? So when we start awakening from that survival consciousness, we step into something that is called service consciousness, where we start really feeling like we have a bigger purpose here in the world. And that's often when we start understanding the creator force that we have within us, or our ability to actually create our lives and not be victims of whatever fate we have. And this is where manifestation becomes very, very powerful, because if we manifest from the fear conscious or from the survival consciousness, we are often not able to really kind of use the whole scope of the universal forces. We are not able to manifest anything very expanded. It might be on a smaller scale, but it does require this sense of understanding as ourselves as creators, and really inviting these universal forces to play there with us in order to manifest something bigger. And many times, if we manifest from the survival consciousness, we kind of manifest from the place of ego, like, I desire this, I'm going to be a better person if I have that soulmate, and I am, if I get that car, then everything is going to be great. And that's the survival consciousness. But when the consciousness expands, it begins to manifest not only to itself, but kind of for the good of the whole. So the word service, for example, it refers to this idea of really having a bigger purpose. So we are maybe manifesting something to ourselves, but we know that that is going to create good in the world, maybe because it's supporting us, and therefore we can serve the world or humanity or whatever particular part of this whole we're serving. We can serve that better if we also receive something ourselves. So that is the first step, remembering ourselves as creators. How does this sound to everyone? I only see a few faces. Yeah, so we are divine beings, and I love to do a little ritual. I love meditation, so whatever practice can connect you to the remembrance of your divine origin. Let's see what the chat says. Love that definition. Thank you, Laura. Yes. All right. So let's move on to the step number 2. I found this picture. It was like a fire station next to my house. There is a skeleton, defecating. I don't know what's going to come out, but I wanted to just take a funny picture, because the second step, or the second kind of part of this aligning yourself with the universe, is going deeper into the subconscious mind. So whenever we want to manifest something, if we do it on the very superficial level, many times we will not be able to attain that something that we want on the surface level, unless our subconscious, our unconscious programming believes that it is possible, that we are worthy of it, that we deserve it. So that's why, or I think this is where many people stop believing in manifesting, because they say, well, I want a soulmate, like right now. I want them to walk in, like inside my house, right at this moment. But then, because of course there is a part of us that says, well, that's not possible, then of course it will not be able to happen, because we don't truly underneath believe that it is possible. And this can get very this is the ones of you that have done shadow work, subconscious work. How deep some of those feelings and those beliefs lie. So this is just something to do maybe on the side of kind of having a manifesting practice. But whenever we set intentions, or whenever we want to manifest something, we do have to make sure that we believe that it is possible. Maybe we take something that we believe is possible and then stretch it a little bit, so that we're not only manifesting in the realm of like immediately what is possible, like right now it could happen, like I want a glass of water and that's possible, but rather stretch it a little bit, like what do I desire? But it does, we do have to do the work of checking in with the subconscious beliefs. Or if we hold resentment towards people that are rich, for example, but then simultaneously we're desiring more money, there is conflict in there. And it's the subconscious programming is always going to override the conscious programming unless it's dealt with. So step 2 is the subconscious check-in. And this, you can notice this while you are doing your manifesting work. Like when you have an idea of what you would like to do, you can already almost feel it in your body, whether you are, if you believe that it is possible or if you don't. And I always tone it down a little bit. If it's too far stretched, then tone it down, because otherwise you're kind of that can be like a longer term manifestation thing. It can be like in 10 years, it's going to manifest, or in 5 years. But if we already start, we want to break it down into pieces, basically, bite-sized pieces, so that we can believe that each one of those steps is possible. All right, shall we move on to the third one? So step 3 is to connect with your heart's desires. So this is what I talked about when we move from the survival consciousness into the service consciousness. If we're operating from the survival, if we're manifesting from our ego, mind, personality, that could often lead us to, manifesting or desiring things that are only good for us and whatever. But it's very important to drop down into the heart and really feel what it is that we desire. And many times, if the surface level answer is like, I need more money, or I need a partner, or I need something, it's good to dig a little deeper, to go a little further into what is it that I really desire through that thing. So if it's money, for example, then we check in, is it really the money that I desire, or is it more fulfillment in my work, or is it other kind of thing? Maybe it's safety or security that I'm looking for. So we want to bring it to the core. We want to see the core of the intention that we have, and that often is in the heart. So dropping down into the heart and aligning ourselves with, aligning our lives with our heart's desires is also another thing that often happens when we move from the survival consciousness to the service consciousness. We begin to see this thing as a whole, and we want to start serving. It's like a natural instinct that starts arising from the heart, that we want to start serving the whole. And many times, what we desire, when that comes from the place of heart, then that will be for the highest good of everyone involved. So many times it is, these manifestations or intentions are in alignment with our higher path or with our purpose even. And whenever we are stepping up to serve even wider, like even further, even more, the more support elements we begin to need. So this is a little side note, but just a reminder to those of you who are in the process of maybe wanting to expand your business, for example, or expand in your relationships, or expand in your career, in your life. Then there comes a point where we need to start elevating what we also receive, as much as we elevate what we and how much we give. So sometimes we think that we should be able, if we're doing service-based work, like if we are living our purpose, that we should be able to do it just like that. But it's very important to note that maybe you need more self-care, or you need some other kinds of support elements in your life that make you feel more relaxed, that make you feel easeful, that make you take you to a place where it's easier for you to do your service. So those can be some things that you are manifesting that are not directly linked to the highest good of everyone, but they are supporting you, and therefore they are definitely for the highest good of everyone. Everyone in the whole. And we cannot give from a place of scarcity. So that's one important thing to know, that the what we're manifesting, the intentions, they come from our hearts. And they are for the service of the higher realm. This is usually also where we really start invoking those universal forces to help us. Because if we are manifesting from the ego and the willpower place, it is true, it is possible to make those things happen when we force it. And there is the saying, where there is a will, there is a way, and we can really power through. But that takes a lot of effort, and we can really get tired and weary in the process. But then when we start manifesting from our heart, it becomes more effortless, because these universal forces, they begin to help us, and they begin to send good opportunities in the way. So it's a little bit of a magical thing that happens when we really start operating from the heart. Okay, I think I've said the word heart enough times. So let's move on. This is the last and the fourth step. Just a reminder before going into that, if you can imagine it, you can create it. So just let that maybe land for a little bit, whatever it is that you are desiring, even if it's a bigger vision. Maybe you're going to end up breaking that down into like smaller bite-sized pieces. If you can imagine what you desire, then of course it exists. It's possible to create that. And then a little human design note here. So like many of you know, I've studied human design. I love to talk about human design. I think it's a very accurate system in kind of explaining how our energy works. And there is a little thing in human design about manifesting too. So you don't have to be a manifester or a manifesting generator in order to manifest. Everyone is able to manifest in terms of, well, in terms of life, and also in terms of human design. And in your human design body graph, you have 4 arrows on the side of the head. And if you look at the bottom right arrow, that refers to manifesting. So you can save this information and check it later if you don't have it handy. But if that arrow, the bottom right arrow, is pointing to the left, then you are a specific manifester. So in order to start this process of manifesting, almost like in order to make your cells start reorganizing so that they start operating in the direction of your desired outcome, you will need specificity in your manifesting process. And this is often something you don't necessarily even have to check it in the human design chart, but you might know this kind of just because you know it. But these specific manifestors can enjoy making lists or having vision boards, or really breaking things into detail. Like if you're manifesting a new house, for example, think about the doorknobs and the windows and the, floors and the materials, and really the details of that place that you desire. Because the more specific, the more detailed you can get, the more, again, that is going to make these creative, manifesting juices flow in your body. And it doesn't mean that you have to now get attached to getting that exact thing, but it's just a tool for you. Be specific, be detailed, and let that kind of begin the process for you if you are a specific manifester. But then you want to let go of the outcome eventually. It might be that you get exactly what you asked for. It has those doorknobs and it has, those window sills and whatever, or it might not. But specificity is good if that arrow points to the left. If you are a non-specific manifester, I am a non-specific, you want to connect with the feeling of that something. So in order to get your manifesting rearrangement happening in your cells, you want to really visualize, maybe you envision it, or maybe you even visit the place. So I always give this example because my dream was to move to New York City. So I visited New York City like 3 or 4 times, and I just went, I rode the subway and I went to the grocery stores and whatever. I played like I was working, and I would have, like little work hours, and I would commute home and cook food and whatever. Like I was almost like playing that I lived there before that manifested into reality. So just getting that feeling of how it feels like when you have that something that you desire. That will be great for someone who is a non-specific manifester. Do you recognize this? Those of you who know your charts. Let me see if there is anyone. You do? Johanna is nodding. Yeah. Katarina, yes. Yeah, so this you might, like I said, you might already know this even without checking your human design chart. Yeah, just playing with these things can be very, very useful. That was a little side note. Step 4 is the interesting step, because here, now that you kind of you have your intention, you've connected to your heart, and you have your idea of what you would like to manifest, and maybe you work with your specific, non-specific things. It is important that you start matching the frequency of what you desire. So this goes a little bit back to this to the subconscious work. So here we are asked to pretend as if we already have what we desire. It's like you starting to act and dress and behave and speak in the way that the person who has it, who possesses what you desire, would. So if we are desiring a partner, for example, a romantic partner or a friendship, we have to start noticing where it is in our lives that maybe there is no space for that, or where we are not aligning with that, and then we already want to become a person who could easily welcome that person into our lives, for example. So if we're very busy with work, but we desire a partner, maybe then we need to create a little bit of space in our lives in order to have that, and then start showing up as the person who wants to meet someone new, who already has that someone new in their lives. So many times this can literally affect the way we think, what we do, what we say. So we want to start stretching ourselves to that place. Does this resonate? Does it make sense to you? Like when we are desiring to step up somewhere, we can't continue kind of living our lives the old way, but we want to begin to already be what we desire to be, so that we're not focusing on what we're lacking or what we're missing in this moment, but we're rather holding that like as if it's already a reality. All right. And then, so matching the frequency, a little bit of detail. So become what you desire. What would the person having what you desire do? What would that person say? What would that person think? And then imagination is such an important part. So it's very important for us to return to our intention and play with it. And, maybe we if we're more specific, we work with the details. And if we're non-specific, we work with the emotion and we play with it. And like I said in the beginning, playfulness and joy are such magnetic frequencies. So when we really just daydream and spend a lot of time with our desired outcomes, desired manifestations, that will prime us to receiving that. And also it's very important to notice how we speak about what we desire, because if we're again wanting to attract the soulmate, for example, but then we keep telling the story that dating is so hard, or I don't want to go onto dating apps, or there are not good men in the world, or whatever, then there is a conflict again. So we need to really begin to match. We need to be the person who can easily welcome that something into our lives. And then gratitude is the best trick for, well, almost anything. If you ask any spiritual teacher, it's like the magic spell. But just feeling gratitude for this something that you desire, because again, it already exists in those higher realms. It is in the realms of infinite possibilities. So you tuning into gratitude of what you already have, and then what you trust you are going to receive in one form or another, that is very magnetic, and that again primes your cells in the direction of it, because your body will think that you already have it when you feel gratitude for it. And then detachment is an important step after setting the intention, after feeling the gratitude. We need to let go of our intention. We need to let go of the outcome. We need to let go of the timing. We need to let go of the form it takes, all of that. So while we really bring it into our bodies and into our energies, at the end, we're also invited to completely let it go. Because again, there is nothing more magnetic in the world than someone who does not need anything. So the universe is always looking for the ones who are really, dwelling in the place of gratitude and detachment, not needing, not forcing. And when we have set our intention and we have felt the gratitude, we detach from it. Usually if we're manifesting during a new moon, it's good to set the intention on the day of the new moon or a little after. So it's better to set the intention a little after, when there is a little light starting to emerge onto the surface of the moon, because that begins to kind of grow and help our intention to grow. So today the moon is exact, or the new moon is happening, I think, in 2 or 3 hours. So if you're really wanting to be very exact about this manifestation, maybe you do your process later or tomorrow. But once we have the intention there, we want to, about 4 days after the exact new moon. So in our case, today is Thursday. So then maybe on Sunday, we could start taking a little bit of aligned action. So if we are manifesting something, for example, related to our career, maybe we take little steps in the direction of that something that we desire. And I think of this aligned action is like, it's more masculine energy when we do something, when we're actively putting something out there. So we want to always have the balance of feminine and masculine. Distorted or like overactive masculine energy would say, well, I need to make everything happen. I'm just going to email everyone. I'm going to force this thing to happen. So that would be like, not trusting the universe having your back, but rather just feeling like you have to do everything all by yourself. So you want to take a little bit of aligned action, but then at the same time, also kind of have this feminine polarity there as well, where you let it go, you take your action and then you release it. Again, you might take your action and then you release it, because the invisible forces, there is this whole orchestration thing happening all the time. So even when we are resting or we go for a walk, like we've maybe done our little piece of work and then we go for a walk, the invisible forces are still operating there. And they actually love to operate when you're having fun and when you're relaxing. But it's again not the like to the far extreme of like only taking massages and waiting for things to, come to you miraculously. But it's the balance of aligned action and then also releasing the outcome, letting go, relaxing, being in joy, having fun with life. And then, so this is the process of manifestation. So what I described before was kind of like, how do we align ourselves? How do we prime ourselves to really begin to co-create our lives on a broader perspective or broader level too? But then this is the actual process of manifestation. So when you're doing your little ceremony or ritual, you want to drop in you want to check in with your heart. What do you desire? And you want to go to the core of things. So if it's, again, like if it's a surface level thing, get curious and ask yourself, okay, so what is this about? What is it really about? What do I desire? I had this instance where I was saying, I need a more solid career. Like I need more money coming in. Um, I need to be busier with work. And then when I sat with that a little bit and I was kind of tuning into my heart, what started reformulating was this notion that no, it's not even so much of what I desire to receive, even though that is important too, but I want to serve. Like I want to do my part in this thing. So that became more of my intention. Maybe for this new moon I can use that one. Like I want to serve. Like please make me useful, make me needed here, so that whatever gifts I carry, and we each carry some, those can be of use. And it's just not about me, it is about a bigger thing. So sometimes the intention, it might be like one surface level thing, and then we can sit with it and kind of go a little deeper to find what it really is on the core. And then you want to hold your intention. So again, maybe specific or maybe just a feeling, play with that, hold it in your heart, imagine yourself having it, tune into gratitude, thank the universe for bringing it to you, bringing your manifestation to you into physical form. Many people like to use the kind of phrase of I want this or something better. So we always give the universe free hands. We put the intention and the direction there, and then we let the universe kind of figure out the details. So you tune into gratitude. You take some aligned action because you are the co-creator. I think we all know the story of someone being stuck on I don't know, like I don't remember if it's like a little piece of ice on the Northern Sea or something. And then they're praying for God to come and help them. And then a helicopter comes and a boat comes. And this person is like, no, this is not God rescuing me. I need God to come. So we need to understand that God operates, universal forces, they operate in the form. And we are also that God operating in physical form. So taking that aligned action, and then the detachment. Finally, that's like you're going to top it off with your little detachment thing, which is actually super powerful in anything. Also, the things that you already have, like the things that you have already manifested in your life, detaching, not needing any of these, because it is not up to us to decide how long these things are going to stay in our lives, or what the duration, what the purpose of these things is. So then feeling the gratitude and then letting anything go is kind of like next level surrender. And from those 3 stages of consciousness, from the survival to the service, the final stage is surrender, where we really allow our desires almost to be just swept away, not because we are self-sacrificing in a like not in a healthy way, but we really begin to tune ourselves with the divine so much that we just simply say that make me the vessel of your creation, allow whatever needs to come through me. So just kind of really next level surrender and detachment of that outcome. And just resting in the trust that whatever is meant to come into your life will, whatever is not, and that we're kind of there listening, we're watching whatever comes into our experience. We take note, we might take action, or we might not take action, whatever it is, but we keep living with this sense of intention, and really observing whatever comes in our hologram, in our experience. All right, how does that sound? I'm gonna stop sharing for a second so I can see. All sounds good. All right, so I have a couple more things before we do our little process. So like I said, the best time is to manifest during new moon overall. So we get like 12 opportunities a year to do our little manifesting, but sometimes it might be a time in your life where you just feel like, I am going to start living very intentionally. I'm going to start, manifesting things, even if it's not the new moon, that's also okay. And then taking aligned action about 4 days after, which is when the first quarter is filled, then we can begin to work on our things. Do you have any questions? Let me know if you do have any questions. And then I would also love to hear, what was your biggest insight, or what was most interesting to you in what I've shared so far? You can either unmute or you can share in the chat. And also, if there are questions, I am open to those.
I really loved that when you said that play with the idea you have, or like that you can even how to say, like imagine that you're already living it. That was amazing, super good.
Yeah. I mean, our bodies love it, and then the whole universe loves that play. So definitely, yeah, I'm so happy you got excited about that.
Yeah, same for me. That really resonated, the two types of manifestors. And for me, I always thought, or how I previously heard it, was that you have to imagine it very detailed, and that was quite difficult for me. So I feel like I actually don't know, but I feel like I'm more the type of manifestor who wants to feel into it and yeah, and not get the details right, because that is really hard for me. I get completely lost if I try to do that.
Yeah, totally. Yep. So definitely it's very good to just kind of figure out what works, because I used to think also that I was very specific, and I would do these Pinterest boards, and like every New Year's like a vision board. And when I was like cutting pieces from different magazines and whatever, I was just looking at like, this is other people's stuff. Like, okay, it's nice, but it's other people's stuff. Like, I did not have any sort of connection to any of that. But then when I started really envisioning that for myself, like, and tapping into the feeling. And for some people, it might work that a picture, like, a picture of a handsome man, for example, that really brings the feeling of like, oh yes, like what if I had that person in my life? But sometimes it can just feel foreign, like, I don't know this person, why am I looking at their picture, so just figuring out what way is good for you is super important. Not to, just like in anything, not to go with what works for someone else. Mirella, joy and playfulness and daydreaming. Yeah, it's so nice to make this so much fun. Like, this apartment, I was just decorating this in my in my daydreams, just visualizing, because it can be so much fun. And when we do it from the place of not it having to, like, not from this place of constriction, like it has to work out this way, and if I don't get my way, then everything is going to be horrible. But when we do it from that detached place, it can be so much fun. All right. Yeah, Emilia, please.
Yeah, I had a comment on following on that, what has been talked about. So I think also, like, it's kind of adult role playing or LARPing, because I never LARPed, but my son had he went to LARPing summer camp, And I realized that it's amazing hobby, actually, just to play out, like it's structured, but you can be whatever you want. Well, maybe not whatever, but it's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly it. And as adults, like, we just so easily forget playing, and we forget the creativity and the imagination and just letting that flow, because like, why stay very confined in the minds when we can really expand and broaden. So yeah, imagining that and then just becoming it, like playing, I don't know, walking the streets or whatever, like just pretending. It's so much fun, but it takes a little bit of, I think, yeah, we have to really bypass the rational mind that says, like, oh my god, what are you doing, you completely lost it, so that's the only thing. But if we don't take that one seriously, then it's all good. Anyone else wants to share before we do our little intention setting process?
I think connection to your heart's, like the desire, what is your, like what you are meant to be. At least it's very actual for me at the moment, that I like decided to stay home from my work and like really feel what I need.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then this came as a gift. and I really believe in this divine. I think in my artwork I'm trying to like come back to that all the time. And yeah.
Oh, so nice. Thank you for sharing.
Everything resonated very well with me. Yeah.
Good to hear.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, there is manifested this class. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting what happens when we begin to really drop into that place. Yeah, things start aligning and orchestrating in a different way, or maybe some perception in us just opens up and is ready to receive it. So either way. All right, anyone else who wants to share any insights or has any questions? No. All right. So let's do the practice. So we're just going to do like a little short meditation type of thing. So you can come into your comfortable seated position. You can drop any things that you have, put your notebook to the side, your teacup, and then just find a place where you're able to sit with your spine long. So it could be your chair or on the floor or on the bed. And take a moment to lengthen the spine, to close your eyes. You can rest your hands over your knees or over your thighs. And take a couple of deeper breaths. Begin to drop in. When we're learning and when we're listening, we're very much in the conscious mind. You can let that awareness begin to drop down from the brain, from the head, to the heart, and to the rest of the body. Maybe check in how you're feeling. You can slow down your breath. As you connect to your heart, just see whatever begins to arise, and it doesn't have to be like a ready made intention, but it can be just a little, whatever sensation, whatever thought, whatever feeling arises in your heart. And start asking the question, what do I need right now? What does that my heart need? What do I desire? What could be something that I am opening myself up to receive and invite into my life? As that begins to formulate at your heart, you can let it evolve and you can dig a little deeper. Is it really the first thing, or is there a desire or a need underneath that? And then once you have that something, and don't worry if you don't have it in this moment, because you can do this process a little later. If you have something that you desire, can you begin to imagine and feel how it would feel to already have it, knowing that it already exists? It doesn't only exist in your imagination, but that possibility, it exists in the quantum field, or in the field of infinite possibilities. That reality is already real. You can tune into that through your imagination, through your creative mind. Notice if there is resistance, if there is a part of you that does not believe this is possible. Allow yourself to expand that vision or that feeling or that detailed picture or list. Starting to feel gratitude for already having this. And don't worry if the rational mind here begins to say something. What you feel on the level of the body and the emotions is the more powerful place. Just feeling gratitude for already having this, for the universe to already having been working on this, on the invisible realm, for the orchestration of your desire to already have begun. Just feeling gratitude. Maybe also gratitude for what you already have, seeing how rich, how loved, how supported you already are. And finally, just allow all of this, the image, the feeling, the gratitude, all of it just begin to kind of float away, so that you're giving this intention away. You're letting go of the expectations, you're letting go of the timing of when you think this should happen. You're letting go of the outcome, the way it manifests. If you're desiring, for example, more money, letting go of the idea of how it comes to you, if it comes through work or if it comes through this. If you're manifesting to meet someone, letting go of the idea of how that will happen. It's almost like your part has now been done in the setting of the intention. You've brought that to life in your imagination. Now you're giving the universal forces free hands to bring this to you in the right time, in the right way. If it's meant for you, it will not pass you by. If something even better is meant for you, this intention will not come into manifestation, but that something better will. Imagine your intention just floating away out the window into the universe. Let your awareness return to your heart. Come back to the feeling of gratitude for this process, for yourself. And slowly you can start bringing the hands together at the heart, just bringing the giving, the receiving, the action, the relaxing into balance and into harmony. The feminine and the masculine. You can release your chin down towards your chest and take a moment to thank yourself. Then you can lower the hands down. You can begin to open the eyes and rest your gaze in one point on the floor. And then slowly begin to lift your gaze up. So this little meditation or ritual you can do a few days, a few times, and just setting very simple intentions can be very helpful, very powerful. Like, drinking a glass of water. May this water nourish me, vitalize me. When we're driving our cars, may I get to my destination safely. Like, really living an intentional life, because every intentional act is a magical act. So the power of intention is not to be undermined. Well, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to pause the recording. So if you were here through the recording, thank you so much for being here. And I hope to hear from you. Or actually, let me just share quickly. If you want to continue working with the universal forces, I have a course called Inner Alignment that helps to align ourselves more deeply anchored into ourselves and with the universal forces. So that course begins on Tuesday if you would like to join for that one. And then I have an energy mastery workshop coming up. So that's on Saturday. So if you want to continue with these themes and working with me, I'm going to share the links in the comments. So there is the Inner Alignment course that is 7 weeks of group coaching, and then there is the energy mastery workshop, and everything is found on my website. So again, for the ones coming through recording, I would love to hear from you, and thank you so much for being here. And I hope to see you very soon.